Welcome to APCUG's Wednesday workshops, where we get together in the middle of the week to talk a little bit more about technology. Today's a very exciting day because we are going to be talking all about, Apple today. And we're very excited about the different presenters that we have. As we get to each part, I'll introduce the different presenters, and we're going to talk all about Apple today. My co-host is Bill James. It's good to have him with us. And our lady with the questions is Judy Tallur. That's our Zoom team for APCUG. Want to begin today with asking you a question. Have you misplaced your Mac or your various iDevices or even your personal devices? Before that happens, learn to set up the Find My app. It can help you locate, protect your valuables. Also learn how to use an AirTag to help you track your keys, wallet, purse, backpack, luggage, and even more. Today, our first set of presenters, we've got two of them, Craig Wright, and Craig grew up in Northeast Ohio and has resided in Columbus since graduating from high school. He is the Dean of Electronic Communications for the Columbus Computer Society, which happens to be one of my groups. Yay. He attended Ohio State University and graduated with a Bachelor of Science degree in Business Administration, majoring in Computer Information Science. Craig's worked as an application developer for almost 42 years, mostly writing assembly, C, and Java software. He was also an adjunct instructor at the Columbus State Community College for about 12 years, teaching Java and HTML. Craig retired, which means he does what he wants to do, but he's still pretty busy since in May of 2019, and spends too much time playing with Apple products and Raspberry Pi single board computers. Our co-presenter, Deborah Neff, grew up in East Central Ohio. Yay, because Craig's from Ohio, I'm Ohio, Deborah used to be Ohio. She started her career in sales after graduating from Ohio University. Yay, we found out we were both in school at the same time, didn't know each other. Her first employer was bringing computers into the field sales force. Her computer was a K-Pro 2000 laptop and a portable dot matrix printer. Deborah was then hooked on computers. She left her sales career, went back to college to obtain a computer science degree. Her first personal desktop computer was a good old Gateway. Her first job was working on a help desk and was promoted to network administrator. In 2010, she switched out her equipment for iPhone, iPad, MacBook Pro. She later added a Mac Air for travel, a HomePod 3 HomePod minis, an Apple Watch, and of course, AirTags. Deborah now resides in Prescott, Arizona since January of 2018, and she's a member of the Prescott Macintosh user groups. So at this time, I know that I turn it over to Craig, and then Craig and Deborah take it over.
Oh, I'm supposed to do something now? Just a second. Let me maximize this. And I need to share my screen. Over here to find. Can everybody see that?
I can.
Well, that's important. So welcome to this presentation that this is the fourth time that Deborah and I have done this, so we should be experts by now. So it's presented by myself and Deborah, and this is a picture of downtown Columbus. Can't really see the State House from here because it's behind a couple of buildings. So first of all, talk about the Find My app, and just because I want to, I have a picture of a place on the Ohio State University campus called the Oval, and that tall building in the background is the main library. So how does the Find My app protect your privacy? It gets location data for all your devices that it keeps to itself. It minimizes the data that it collects and stores, so it only gathers certain information that it needs to keep track of where your devices are located. And it's all encrypted, and it is stored on Apple's servers, but it's all encrypted, and the only people that have access to it, and the only time it's visible at all, is when one of the Find My apps on your phone, your iPad, your Mac, only when they ask for it is that data available. I don't know why it did that, but let me get this out of the way.
Greg, you got yourself muted.
Is that better?
Better?
Yeah, you can hear me now. So Apple only sees that data when you're actively looking for your device, et cetera, et cetera. And it is stored entirely encrypted on Apple's servers. And that data is only stored for 24 hours or less. Sometimes it'll be a little less, don't know why. If you want to look for offline devices using what they call Bluetooth beacons, it's even more private. So if I lose my phone and I don't have Wi-Fi, it can use Bluetooth devices that are near your phone and provide that, and that information can then be provided to Apple. If someone shares their location with me, you don't automatically share your location back, but you are said, would you like to share? Deborah and I share each other's locations. So not that I am a creep, but I could pretty much sit there and just spend my whole day figuring out where she is. And yeah, don't do that. It's kind of weird. So you can share your own location, and you're told, you know, that, hey, if you do this, this is what's going to happen. And you can share your location for just an hour until the end of that day, or just turn it on and say, yeah, you can look wherever and whenever. So the Find My app. So if you're an Apple user, you probably have an Apple ID, which is usually your email address, and it enables certain, just by signing in with your Apple ID on your device, and that device can be your Mac, your iPhone, your iPad, your Apple Watch, all of those things. And if you have an iPhone and you have a pair of AirPods associated with your phone, when you log in on your phone, it also knows where your AirPods are located. And so it's, you know, all that stuff. It's enabled for your watch or your AirPods if it is enabled for your phone. And if you've turned it off, if you go into settings on your device, you can turn that Find My back on. And when you first sign into your device, it is disabled. You'll have to manually go in there and turn it on. And you can find all your stuff on iCloud.com. So you can go in there and say, where's this, where's that? So turning on the Find My Network on devices. So this is from my iPhone. So you slide that top slider, Find My iPhone, until it's green, and you can turn on Find My Network and send last location. And that last location feature is when you have moved out of Wi-Fi range, the Find My Phone on your Mac or whatever would say, well, this is where it was the last time I saw that device. And since it's just me, I usually know where my watch is because it's usually on my wrist. And the phone is almost glued to my hip. So iOS devices, iPad OS, you just change the Find My Network options and settings, and it has go to settings, go to account name, go to Find My, and then Find My iPhone or iPad and turn that on. On Mac OS, you go into System Preferences, go to your Apple ID, go to iCloud if you're running Catalina or later, or System Preferences iCloud if it's Mojave or earlier, and check options to Find My whatever and turn that on. So you can take your devices wherever you want. It could be under a pillow, conference room, left it in the bathroom, whatever. And also that feature is available on iPhone, iPad, iPod Touch, which we're going back a while for that one. The Apple Watch, Mac, AirPods, and AirTags. All of that, where those things are, can all be found inside the Find My app on your computer. And of course, I've just said where it's available. So I can keep track of friends with their permission. And I can track, basically it's tracking wherever their iPhone is. So if they leave their iPhone at home and then they go somewhere, I'll think they're at home. But when I leave my iPhone at home, my Apple Watch will say, hey, you left your iPhone behind. So see where all your Apple devices are located. That's kind of interesting. You just see a blob when you're at home, and all of those, you just see all of the little icons for what's there. And if you set up AirTags, you can locate various items like, where's my wallet? Where's my camera bag or whatever you want to do. You can make those iPad or Apple devices emit a sound. So your AirTag can make a sound, your AirPods will make a sound, and of course, anything that has a speaker can make sounds. So your watch will even beep if you say, where is it? And if you lose one of them, or you think it's been stolen, you can put it in lost mode, and they will see on there when somebody else is trying to use your lost item, you'll be told this item has been declared lost. They won't be able to log in if they don't know the password, et cetera, et cetera. And you can remotely erase any of those Apple devices, and that includes logging you out of the Icloud account, et cetera, et cetera. So, and you'll need the password if you want to reactivate that device, like you find it. So if you look up at, this is high-level map of Columbus, Ohio, and the little blue house up here at the top is approximately where I live, and you'll see it knows where my phone is, where my iPad is, plus 4 other devices. So if I left it at work when I used to work, etc., I'll look on the map and I can see, oh, I left it at work. So I can either go back to work and pick it up, or just say, I'll pick it up in the morning, depending on how trustworthy you think your colleagues are. And this is available on almost all Apple devices. So this is a pair of AirPod Pros, which but if I know it's nearby, excuse me, I can ask the device to make a noise, so I will be able to go on and find them. And most of the time I know where they are. But if I don't, I can say beep, so I know where you are, so I can go grab them. I can also display a message when I've declared it to be lost. So here's an example of a Apple Watch and a iPhone. And on the iPhones where I have set up this Apple Watch, or, I've previously set up that says, I am lost, and it will display that message. And you can optionally have it provide a phone number or an email address, so you can, so hopefully they'll contact you. If I know it's not likely to ever be seen again, I can go in and remotely erase the device and get rid of all the photos and everything else that's on that device. I hope you never have to do that. And you can, if you've done an iCloud backup, if you do eventually find it, you can restore your data back to that time. So this is a Mac designed to prevent anyone from using or selling your device. When you enable Find My on your device, activation lock is also turned on, and it will prevent you from using it unless you know that person, know my Apple ID and its password. And so, like always, strong passwords. Don't use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 password, capital P password, and sometimes you'll put a number at the end, like 1 or 2. Those are all too easy to guess. Don't put your name in any part of your passwords either. If the device is offline, like I've powered off my MacBook Pro, so Find My can't talk to the iCloud, can't talk to my device because it's turned off. Nearby devices will still send the location of your missing device to iCloud. It is anonymous and encrypted to protect everybody's privacy. So if you actually physically turn it off, as long as there's battery in it, there's that little part for Find My that might still be active, just saying, I'm here if somebody asks me. So sharing your location with others, we've talked about, and you can also stop sharing whenever you wish. So now Deborah's going to talk about AirTags. And again, this is a picture of Mirror Lake on the Ohio State University campus. So, Deborah, it's all yours.
Okay, what's an AirTag? AirTags were introduced by Apple in April of 2021, and it's a pocket-sized tracking device, about the size of a little bigger than a quarter, a little smaller than a $50. If it's purchased from Apple, you can personalize it. They can be attached to a variety of items: keys, backpacks, luggage, purse. Kind of unlimited, whatever you want to do. You could even, I guess, throw it in the glove box of your car and know where your car is. They have a water resistant rating of IP67, which means they're protected against water intrusion from spray and rain, high pressure water jets, as well as immersion up to 3.3 feet for up to 30 minutes. So that would open up some more rugged possibilities, camping gear and stuff like that. They communicate in 3 ways. Near field communication will allow the information to be read on a web page. The last 4 digits of a number can be visible. With the iPhone 11 series, UWB, which is ultra wideband, low power, broad spectrum wireless technology, they can track an AirTag within about 30 feet, with 10 to 15 feet with extreme precision. Bluetooth is the unlicensed radio band that runs at 2.4 gigahertz, similar to a microwave oven, your Wi-Fi router, and modem. Data is converted into packets, sent via radio waves, and then converted back into data when it reaches its destination, like a music to a wireless Bluetooth speaker. So how do you pair an AirTag? You make sure that your Bluetooth is turned on. And you hold your iPhone close to it. The AirTag will beep. And there's a little plastic tab. If you're doing it for the first time, you just pull that out, activates the battery. Then you select, there's a list of items included. You can do a custom item, but backpack, bike, camera, handbag, phone. You can put it in a jacket pocket, key, luggage, umbrella, or a wallet. Those are all built in to the list. And then you can name it so that if you have more than one, you can identify it. And of course, it'll show up on the map. There is new dialogue regarding improper use, and you'll see things in the online about people using it for stalking and illegal tracking. So there's new warnings that come up, when you activate it. This was starting in iOS 15.4 and iPadOS 15.4 as anti-stalking measures. So there are updates on how to know about unwanted tracking. You'll receive an unwanted tracking alert. And there are new, like I said, there's new privacy warnings during the AirTag setup. It addresses alert issues for AirPods. And then there's also precision finding. So I'm going to show you a demonstration of tracking an AirTag. It'll play a sound. It's not as loud as trying to track a phone or other devices. It's a kind of you have to be pretty close or have really good hearing. Notify when left behind. And I'm going to show you precision finding on the next slide. I got outside the range in my house. Obviously, I knew where it was because I was setting it up. And so the first slide shows me at 36 feet. And the second slide, I began to walk toward it. And it got pretty excited. I got an arrow pointing me in the right direction. When I was within, I showed you within 6 feet, but it when I got within that 30-foot range, it's very easy to follow it. And then when I got there, it shows and, says you're here, you found it.
And that beautiful shade of green.
So if you need to remove an AirTag for whatever reason, you want to give it to somebody else, put it on a different device or something, you can remove it from the native Find My app on an iPhone or from an iPad linked to your cloud account. And the AirTag is now free to pair to someone else or something else. If you are beyond the range, the Bluetooth range, you need to do a physical reset. And they make sure you really want to do this. You have to remove the back cover, which you just kind of have to twist it and it'll pop apart. You remove the battery and you have to replace it 4 times, pressing lightly on the battery each time until it beeps. On the 5th time, the beep is different and the reset is complete. So it's now ready to pair with another iPhone or another iPhone or iPad. And Craig's going to talk about the AirTags versus tiles.
I am?
Yeah.
Okay, I will. So this photograph gives you a good idea of how big these things are. So the AirTag is at the top, and we're looking at the bottom where the cover is. And the black device is one of many form factors for the tile. Tiles have been around for a long time. So here's some differences and similarities between the AirTag and the tile. So AirTags are about $30 a piece, or 4 of them for $100. If you go to Costco and you buy the package of 4 instead of $99, they're like $94. So you save a couple bucks, but not a huge amount of money. Tiles, the prices start at $24.99, so they're a little cheaper, and up to $100 for packs of 4. And that all depends on what form factor you get. AirTags don't require an annual subscription service. It's just included with your iCloud account. Tile requires an annual subscription for some services. The real basic stuff is free, but they are far more useful if you spend the money. And those subscriptions are $30 a year or $3 a month. I know which one I'd pick if I was going to keep it for a long period of time. And the premium subscriptions are $100 a year. That premium protect, not just premium. You'd have to look on Tile's website to see what the major differences are between those 2 different subscriptions. So when you look at a tile, there's a button you can press to make your phone make some noise so you can find your phone. So you can just find where one of your tiles are and press it and it'll beep, and then you'll know where your phone is, assuming you can hear it. They're available in several sizes, shapes, including a tile sticker, which just has sticky tape on the back and you can stick it onto anything. Where's my mouse? There it is. It's available in several colors. White and black are 2 of them, but they have some form factors have additional colors. And Tile works with both Android and iPhone. You have to download the app for each of those devices so it can work. And the batteries, this is a big no-no if you ask me. The batteries cannot be replaced. So when the battery dies, throw it in the recycle box or whatever, and go buy another one. And you just download the Tile app on either a phone or either an iPhone or an Android device to get started. And this picture here is a key ring that Apple sells, and the AirTag is inside that circle part on the on that leather strap and the key. And I thought when I got this, oh, I just slide it in there somewhere. No, you can play with that all day and you'll never get it to. You unsnap it, open it up, and just lay the AirTag in there. And I tried to, oh, that's a stretch. I'll put it in there. Yeah. After a couple of minutes, I said, yeah, that's a snap. And Deborah's laughing because I was telling her my difficulties. And these little, I don't remember what they call these, the AirPod or the AirTag attachment devices. I don't remember what they call them. They're available. AirTags themselves are available in one color, white, and they're round. Yeah, that's the box. You are muted, Deborah.
Yeah, I didn't want to make noise going to get this. I bought this on Amazon's Prime sale for $7. Normally they rip you off for either 30 or 35 bucks for this.
Yeah. I only have one of those and it's on my camera. The nice thing that AirTag has over Tile, or there's many, but one of my favorites is that when the battery goes bad, you put a new battery in. They're one of them coin 3227s. I don't remember what the number is. So you can just go to the grocery store or the pharmacy or whatever, CVS, they'll sell them, Walmart, whatever, buy a new battery and put it in. And it's a lot more seamless if you just pull the battery tag and click. Oh, when you're setting it up, you pull that little plastic tab out that Deborah talked about and you click connect on your Mac or your phone and answer a couple questions and it's connected. It also will let you know that, hey, I see somebody else's AirTag and it seems to be with you because it's following me as I drive down the road or whatever. Somebody has put an AirTag in my car and it doesn't recognize who it is. So it'll say, hey. Now, if somebody that has an AirTag is in my car with me, and it says, I see somebody else's AirTag, yeah, it's probably them. Some additional info that might be useful is a couple of websites talking to the Find My app on Apple's website, the AirTag specific website on Apple's site, and also about the Tile app. That's also available. So you might want to look at those websites. And that's all I have to say.
And I have a couple of questions.
Yep.
How does the AirTag work with lost luggage? She gathers you have to be in the room with the lost luggage.
That would be incorrect. You would have to be, the luggage would have to be, so you take an AirTag and put it in the luggage, not on the strap on the handle. because that sort of defeats the purpose that they know where they are. And because there's other Bluetooth devices and Wi-Fi typically in airport terminals, the AirTag will say, I'm here. And you look on the little map that Deborah showed or I showed earlier, and you say, oh, it's in St. Louis. And I'm not. Which means that, and your AirTag or your luggage is supposed to go from California back to Columbus, but it somehow got misdirected to St. Louis. And then you have to call the airline and said, could I have my bag back? It's in St. Louis at the airport. So yeah, you do not have to be less than 30 feet from it, for instance. Hopefully that answers the question.
Thank you. I understand you can pair an AirTag to any iOS device. I assume you can track with only that device, or can you track from any device linked to that account, your Find My app on your Mac?
You don't have to just track it from that phone. You can track it from any laptop, desktop, your iPad, as long as they're logged into that same account.
Thank
Which
you.
makes
Last
them-
question.
Yep.
Are there any security issues with AirTags?
Yep. You want more detail?
Yes, thank you so much.
Well, one of the issues is somebody throws an AirTag into your car and it winds up under the seat where you can't see it. And they're trying to track where you go because they're stalkers. So what you can do is your phone or whatever will alert you to say there's an unknown AirTag that's with you, as we mentioned in the slides. So that's probably one of the biggest security issues. Deborah, can you think of any other major ones?
No, just the fact that somebody plants it on you or one of your possessions, but you will get alerted by your
Yeah.
phone because it won't recognize it as yours. So
Because it's not associated with your account.
right.
Okay, this is really the last one. Are airlines and FAA okay with AirTags in your luggage?
Because of, you're supposed to turn off Bluetooth and all that crap. And the only way to do that on an AirTag is remove the battery. To my knowledge, they have no objections to that.
Okay, thank you. Over to you, John.
Great information. Great information. We'll now continue with our Apple apps. And a lot of you have, whether it's any kind of smartphone, have used the map feature. And those of you who are Apple people, you might have used your Apple Maps, but you've not really realized that you're missing two really important features called Flyover and City Guides. And Brooke Thomas is going to be sharing that with us. She's the president of the Central Kentucky Computer Society, which is also one of my groups. She joined the CKCS in 2008 and became an instructor on using Movie Maker. After serving on the board of directors, she became president in July 2012. And I have to say that that group was one of the groups that just blossomed through COVID and stayed strong. CKCS was created officially as a nonprofit educational organization back in '84 with the stated purpose of demystifying technology. Brooke has continued the organization's mission by organizing the monthly tech nights, teaching iPad Facebook classes, and assisting with various other classes. Her teaching philosophy is simple. Today's technology to make it user-friendly and to make learning fun. So she's going to make it fun for us to learn about these special features in your Apple Maps. Brookie, your turn.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, John. My presentation is going to be a little bit of a PowerPoint presentation, and then also we're going to have some demonstration actually on my iPhone. But remember, these are also available on your iPad. So the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and share my screen so that you can see my PowerPoint. I'm assuming everybody can see that.
That's correct.
Yeah, it's always good to know that, because one time I did a PowerPoint presentation and nobody saw it. So I always like to check. So here is, I've added two pictures here. One is a flyover example of the Empire State Building, and then also an example of one of the guides in Apple Maps. And so we're going to continue here to a little information about Apple Maps Flyover. They've been around since 2012, and a lot of us never knew that. It's just amazing to me that it's been there and we've just noticed it, but we kind of just use our maps for navigation. They call it a bird's eye view of your favorite city. And if you'll notice, I have the Eiffel Tower, and that's an example of the flyover view that you'll see. And there's over 350 cities and major landmarks. When I first, I think just a couple of years ago, I was aware of the flyover maps, and there was just a handful. So they really are adding them all the time. So there may even be more as we speak. There's a couple of things I want to show you before I go to the actual demonstration. And that's how you can manipulate these 3D maps. All right. And so if you look at my thumbnail video on your screen, I don't know if you'll see it, but I'm going to talk about 3 ways to do it. One is that when you have your maps up on your screen on your iPhone, and it's actually in the flyover mode, you can actually point your phone different places and it will go through this 3D map, and you can navigate it that way. Or you can tilt it back and forth, and you can see different aspects of the 3D map. That's one way that you can manually manipulate it. The other one is that you can use just one finger. And when you use one finger on your screen, it will zoom in to different places. And so you can explore, a certain landmark that you want. And then another cool one is that when you are actually on the map, if you just put one finger on and then you rotate with another finger, you can actually do a 360-degree rotation on the landmark. So I'll be showing you that. I'll be telling you what I'm doing, but you're not going to actually see me being able to do it. You're not going to see me doing it on the screen. Okay, and then we'll end the flyover portion of my presentation and we'll watch a 3D tour that they have. Okay, the other thing is that we're going to go to London, England today and visit about 6 landmarks there. And I'm going to walk you through the steps. But after it's over, I will also put up a screen that has the steps that I went through. So you don't have to write these down. I know that some of you may be watching this on your computer and maybe trying to follow me on your iPad or your iPhone. So I'll try to go fairly slow that you can do that, but I'll have the steps afterwards that you can take a picture of, screenshot, and you can do it, after the presentation. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to mirror my camera, my iPhone. just takes a second to do.
Got it.
All right, great. So if you see, this is my iPhone. Sometimes that confuses people when they're watching that actually I'm mirroring my actual iPhone here. I'm going to this app right here. It's Apple Maps. Don't try to do this on Google Maps. It's not going to work. All right. So I'm going to tap my Apple Maps, and it's going to take me to actually today my location, or maybe the last place you were using your Apple Maps is where it will take you. Okay, so here you have a place card. It's this thing right here. All right, and I can slide it up, see lots of information. But for this presentation, let's just stick with the flyover. So I want to do a flyover of London, England. So I'm going to tap in there. I'm going to start tapping London. And you notice London, Kentucky comes up. John and I were talking and he said, oh, how about London, Ohio? And I said, well, almost every state probably has a London, but you need to make sure that you get the right one. So we're going to go to London, England. Okay. And it's pretty cool. It takes you straight there to London. And then you have this place card right here. And on this place card, you have lots of information about that location. You have sites, and these are lots of pictures. And then there's a description. But for today, we're really going to concentrate on the flyover. And the flyover is right here. Okay. We probably never pay attention to it because you're using it usually for navigation, but this is a cool, really cool feature. So I'm going to tap that, and it's going to take me to a 3D aerial map of London. Okay. In my presentation, in my PowerPoint, I talked about pointing it. So I'm going to point my camera to the left so I can pan over here, and I'm pointing my phone over to the right. Okay, so I'm just moving my phone around, and then I'm tilting it up and I'm tilting it down, and probably making you all seasick, unfortunately. But that's the way that you can manipulate it with just moving your phone. The second way I told you that you could do it is with one finger. So you put one finger on it and you can, explore wherever you want to go. All right. So that's another way to manipulate the flyover 3D maps. And then the third way that I mentioned was putting one finger on it and using your other finger to rotate. Okay. So this is the Gherkin building. And so I'm just going to use two fingers, keeping one stationary and then the other one. And then you can just rotate around any landmark that you want. So I think that's a pretty cool feature. So now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to rotate my phone into landscape mode for the flyover because I think it's just a little bit more dramatic. And then I'm going to tap my screen. The place card comes back up. There's a little bit of a delay. So, and I'm going to just tap start tour. And this is going to be a tour of London. And if you tap your screen again, it will take the place card down. Okay. So it will zoom to about 6 different landmarks, and it will tell you, what you're looking at. So here's the Tower of London, and it's going to just, zoom you in, rotate around. It's amazing technology, and I'll talk about that in a minute, but you can see the Thames River, some boats on the river. You can see the city as it zooms to the next location. and that is the Gherkin building. It's amazing how much detail you see. All the buildings, the roads, and then the vastness of the City of London. And we're going to head on over now to Buckingham Palace. So you can just see how you can see the whole city. So when I gave this presentation a couple of days ago, they said, how did they do that? Well, I did look into that a little bit and saw an article of when they actually did this about 10 years ago. And I can tell you a little bit about it. They bought a Swedish company, C3, that had come up with some really cool software and able to do this. They have unique software that automatically generates a 3D map of major cities. There's a lot more information on the technology, but a simplistic explanation is it's based entirely on photographs, and it uses a very technical planes with very high quality cameras that take pictures of the city. And then they, in their software, they're able to produce this flyover of the cities. The planes fly about 1,600 feet. So they're able to capture all of this detail. And this article is saying, but a lot of it is also a secret. So they give you a little bit of the information of how they do it. But a lot of people thought, oh, well, they're building 3D models, or they're just creating it, but they're actually taking aerial videos. So it's pretty amazing. And maybe some of you all have gone to London, England. That's one place I have not been yet, but it kind of gives me an idea of what I'll be looking at. And for those of you that have gone, it's probably a lot different view than what you had when you took your tour. Okay, and then it zooms out. And then at this point in time, it kind of shows the countryside. And it will all show you some of the surrounding areas. Okay, so that is the flyover tour and how to manipulate it. I'm going to go back to my PowerPoint, and at this point in time, I'll give you a chance to go ahead and take a screenshot or a photograph. You know, if you've got your phone handy, just take a picture of the steps of how to use the flyover before I go on to the guides. Okay, let's just continue now. And we're going to talk about Apple Map guides. And these are multiple guides. There's not as many locations, cities that you have in the flyover. Flyover, we're talking, 350. But they do this so that they talk about, where to eat and place to shop and where to explore. So it's pretty comprehensive. And then they automatically update new places, and so that you have the latest recommendations. So they're not really old information. Here are all the cities that they do have map guides for, Apple Map guides. So there's 21. Most of them you see here are domestic. There are 3 international ones. And when I say 21 guides, I'm really saying 21 cities, because each city has multiple guides that you can review. I'm going to do the same thing I did with the flight, the flyover, so that I can show you where the guides are. And one word just here is that Apple has like 3 or 4 ways to find something. I'm just going to show you one way to get to the city guides. It's the simplest way, but there's 2 or 3 other ways to do it. So I'm going to go ahead and share my iPhone again. And we're going to go back to the Apple Maps.
We're seeing it.
Great. So it's right there. Okay. And I'm going to tap on it. It's going to take me back to the last place I left off. Okay. And here's the place card again. And I'm just going to slide that up so that you can see there's lots of different information here. It has recents, it has my guides, but the place that I want to go is here kind of in the middle of this place card where it says explore guides. Where do you want to explore? Okay, that is the panel that I'm going to tap on to go to all the city guides. Okay, so it's explore guides. And it's taking me to this panel that comes up. And Apple loves to give you their editor's picks and guides that they love and summer fun and the latest. So there's just lots of information on this first panel.
I have to tell you, that basket was the basket that's here in Newark, Ohio.
Ah, great. That one right there. Perfect. So we could go there to see about the baskets. So up here at the top where it says worldwide, there's this arrow. And this arrow is the one that I'm going to tap to take us to all the city guides. Okay. So I'm tapping it, and here come up the cities. And these are all the cities that you saw in my PowerPoint presentation. So for this demonstration, we're just going to go over here and choose Atlanta. And when you get to this screen, again, Apple likes to have editor's picks. And so they have this one that they're spotlighting today. It may be a different one. It may be a different one on your phone as well. And then there's also, you can browse by interest. And that's actually what we're going to do. I'm going to demonstrate that. But let's look down. It has guides we love. It has summer fun, and it has the latest. All right. So we're going to go to food and drink. And I'm going to tap on that. And it's going to take me to multiple guides on food and drink. And they're by different people, Tiny Beans or Thrill List or Discover Atlanta. And there's quite a few of them. So I'm going to go ahead and let's go to must try iconic restaurants. So I'm going to tap on that one. And this is what you see when you do that. It actually comes up with the map of all the locations in this guide so that you can see it that way. And then also on the place card here, you can slide it up and you see that in this guide, they're going to highlight 11 places. And the publisher is Discover Atlanta. So I'm going to go ahead and scroll up a little bit more. And if you've been to Atlanta, surely you've gone to Mary Mac's Tea Room. And it gives you just a lot of good information about that. It gives you the type of food. It gives you the cost index here. And it gives you the hours. And if you scroll on down, you'll see a description of it with some pictures. And they do that. In this one, I think I said there were 11 restaurants that they were featuring. And so the information is on all of those places. And then the last thing I want to tell you about these guides is that you can actually go to the publication's website, like Discover Atlanta, by clicking on there, or you can tap this and actually you can save it. And I'm going to show you where that is saved. But let's say you find one and you don't want to have to go searching for it. You can save it on your phone, or you can tap over here to share and you can send it to any of your contacts. So that's a pretty cool way to do it. So I'm going to go ahead and X out of these and take us back to the original placard that comes up. And you'll notice on that first place card that comes up when you go to your maps, you have recents and then you have my guides. And you notice right here, I have the must try iconic guides in Atlanta. So that is the demonstration of the guides. And now I will share with you the outline of those steps so that you can take a picture of it or take a screenshot and practice it after the presentation is over.
And I'll remind that everyone that has their name correctly will get a copy of all the presentations that are being shared today.
Great. Super. All right. So, in ending it, so now you can take a trip and you never have to leave home because you can visit all these sites and you can avoid high airfare, and you can also not have to lose your luggage. Of course, if you do lose your luggage, you can always use the AirTag. Okay, John, turn it back over to you.
And I just turn it over to Judy.
And I don't have any questions. There was one and I answered it.
Oh, great. Thank
But
you.
it does say, wow, awesome. 3D image maps, exclamation point ×3.
Well, good. I hope that people would be excited about it because it's amazing technology. So, and it'll help you plan, or if you've gone to any of these 350 cities, you can actually go back and visit it from a different perspective. So thank you.
I
Okay,
do
I've
have
got-
a question.
Okay, good.
Okay. Can one use Apple Maps generally the same way on a MacBook Pro?
Oh, now I cannot answer that question. Maybe our other people do. I am just iPhone and iPad. So how about some of the other people that use other Apple products?
Craig?
Well, I do have Apple Maps on my MacBook
Great.
Pro, and I assume I haven't launched it, but I assume I can do all of that there.
I'm going to take a quick look and later I'll answer that question.
Okay, I've got one, Brookie, that somebody's having trouble getting over to Judy. How do you end a flyover?
Oh, I'm sorry. You just tap the screen and the place card will come up and you just hit the X and it will stop it.
Don't want to fly on forever.
That's right.
All right. More questions may come up during the open mic time after we're done with our last part of our presentation, but we're going to continue with apps. And this time we're going to be learning about new programs that really haven't been on our agenda before because we mostly haven't had somebody do it. We're going to be talking about Pages, Numbers, and Keynote, which would be the equivalent of Word, Impress, and Word and Excel and PowerPoint. And all of these apps are on the iPhone, the iPad, and the Mac. And our presenter will demonstrate the ability to open and view Microsoft Office files And then you can create documents, save them as an Office document because somebody else might not be able to open up your Mac version. Our presenter, new to us, and is going to be, I will put out a plug that he is now on our Speakers Bureau. So if you need presentations on Apple, Jerry Rogan is the one to do. He's the president of the Sunland Spring Valley Technology Group in Mesa, Arizona. He served as a software engineer in the U.S. Air Force. He's president of the Industrial Equipment Design. He's an international sales manager for Eagle Technology. He's the CEO of Soft Sold Limited, UK industrial software. And he's also taught adult education at 3 different community colleges. So Jerry, who is with us right now from Iowa, he's going to share with us all about these software programs.
All right. Thank you, John. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay. I didn't know I did all that. I've been retired so long I'd forgotten. Hey, listen, we talked about air tags and flyovers. Well, Davenport, Iowa doesn't have any of that. But if you want to throw an air tag in your suitcase and either drive or fly over to Davenport, Iowa, behind me, you'll see a paddle wheel riverboat in the Mississippi River. Come on out and visit us. We have all these Buckeyes on here, and I think there's only a couple of us Hawkeyes on here. So anyway, feel free to come. I'm going to talk about pages and so forth through a PowerPoint, although the PowerPoint was actually created on my iPad using Keynote. So let me go ahead and get that started. All right, can everybody see that all right?
I can.
All right. Okay, so we're pages comparable to Word, numbers is comparable to Excel, and Keynote is comparable to PowerPoint. I'm going to kind of focus on pages more than anything else because of the similarities. So we'll take a look at all of that. Which will you require? You know, if you're in the corporate world and you've got some very advanced features or very large spreadsheets and so forth, you'll probably want to go with Microsoft Office. Or if you're working from home or something and you're using one of these Apple apps and you need to share it with somebody who only has Microsoft Office, you can certainly do that as well. Depends on how often you have to do that, but you can certainly do that. If you use an iPhone, iPad, or Macintosh, then Pages, Notes, and Keynote are very capable applications and do offer a lot of advanced features of Office. Unlike Office, Apple applications offer very uncluttered toolbars. So if you're used to Office, there may be a slight but intuitive learning curve. Again, the documents can be saved in any Microsoft Office format. Now, I will again mention, I created this presentation using Apple Keynote just to give you an idea what can be done. Now, it also depends a little bit on your budget, what you use. If you're going to use Microsoft Office, you're going to pay for it, either through the $365 per year. I don't know if they still have a per month plan or not. But there's the 3 choices that I know, and I'm not certain that it's accurate, but it should be pretty close. So if you want Microsoft Office, it's certainly there for you. But if you're a frugal senior like me, you're going to like this price because it's $0. So you're getting applications with some tremendous power for absolutely free on any Apple device. Did want to do one comparison here. The Microsoft Word toolbar is at the top. The Apple Pages toolbar is at the bottom. As I say on the bottom now, from my old eyes, I know which I prefer, but I don't know about you. So what we're going to do is take a look at this, how these tools work on the Apple app, because they are very similar on numbers as well as Keynote. whenever you open a new document, the first thing you'll want to do is, or the first thing you're presented with are the templates. Now I've got about, I don't know, 5 or 6 screens, different screens on here that are shown partially, but you've got reports, books, cards, certificates, envelopes, business cards, flyers and posters, letters and books and so forth. Pages has a tremendous number of templates that you can choose from when you start your document. So I consider that fairly comparable to Microsoft Word. If not, there may even be more templates in Pages than there are in Word. Okay, once you've chosen a template, you can start to enter information in your document. 90% of the time, I think a lot of us just are doing a note or a letter or something like that. So that's what I've chosen, it's just a blank screen because I want you to focus on the tools we use to get things done. Oh, I do want to also mention, if you go on the internet and you look for comparisons between, say, Pages and Word, it'll say Pages can't do mail merge and Pages can't do this and Numbers can't do that. I hope to dispel all of that. Apple continues to develop these things. So mail merge, if you're doing Christmas card lists, sales promotions, newsletters, they're all very, very easy to handle with Pages. Now, looking at the tools, I've got two different screens here. If you look at the upper left, you'll see that we've got view options. You can turn on view thumbnails. You can look at 2 pages at once. You can look at word counts. Sorry about that phone call. You can have the rulers showing, as I do, smart annotations. If we look over to the right, you've got a tool that's looks like a paintbrush. And that's where you can go in and determine what type of, if you're working on a paragraph, an introduction, a body or whatever, you can set your font. You can set it to bold, italic, underline, subscript, whatever you want to do, the font size and so forth. So it's all very, very intuitive as far as formatting your document. In the lower left, there's a little tool up here, and I actually have used it once or twice, not very often, but by creating different paragraphs, you are also creating a table of contents. Now that paintbrush tool, again, you can use that to choose what type of paragraph you're working on. If it's a title, subtitle, heading 2, heading 3, you can make the heading in red, whatever you want. Simply point at that paintbrush and that will be one of your options. If you look to the right, the next tool is the plus sign. You can add, I want to show you this too as well. You'll notice there's different tools along here. I've actually clicked on the add tool where you can add a photograph or a video, a camera. You can turn on your camera and take a picture of something and have it inserted in your document. You can record audio. You can do a web video. You can go to an image gallery, drawing, equation, whatever it is you'd like to do. Remaining on that tool, I've now clicked over here on the upper left. We can insert a table into our document. So if you've got a report you're doing and you want to insert some type of spreadsheet, excuse me, this is where you can do it. If you click on the third icon over, you'll end up with what's on the right side of the screen. And that's where you can insert arts, science symbols, education. There's a whole library of symbols that you can automatically insert into your document to keep it a little more interesting. Now, normally I would do this live, but because of the time constraints and so forth of all the presentations today, I've chosen to do it this way. But this line here will scroll, so there are a number of different subject matter that has some clip art that you can use. few more tools, and these are important ones. You'll see the circle here with the 3 dots at the top right. That allows you to share a document, export a document, print a document, find something, do a smart annotation. There are bookmarks, document setup. So that's a very important tool that's right there and available for you. Just click on it. This is your drop down and you select from that. Now, if I had selected share and I look over to the right, you'll see my share screen come up. It'll say, okay, who do you want to share this with, or how do you want to notify them? And we're all familiar with how that works. So that's what happens when you share something. If you're done with your document and you want to send it to a coworker or to somebody else who's got only Microsoft Office, fine, go ahead and do the export. You'll come up with this drop down. You can export it to a PDF or to a Word file, plain text, rich text format, whatever you want to do. There's a lot of power here. And if you look at the screen at the bottom, I'm looking at this center part and I'm looking at the bottom, and you're going to see tools across the top of the keyboard. We'll just take a quick look at those. For example, if I click on that little arrow, I get indent or tab. I can click on the ABC and come up again with some font selections. If I go to the right, I can come up with font sizes. If I go further to the right, I can come up and where I can put in a comment or a page break or a line break, column break, page numbers, whatever it is you want to do. The point is that all of these tools pop up very large, very easy to see, and they're all very intuitive, as opposed to looking at that skinny toolbar across that Microsoft has. So there's a lot of power in Pages. If you want to look at this screen for a second, yeah, letters, envelopes, newsletters, whatever it is you want to create, Pages can absolutely handle it. I think probably better than Word, but absolutely as well as Word. Now, before I go on, if you have any questions, just remember, use your chat and we'll address them shortly. We're going to take a real quick look at numbers now. Now, the differences between Word and Pages are somewhat significant, but both pretty much can accomplish the same thing. Excel and Numbers each has their own list of pros and cons. But if you're working with extremely large spreadsheets in the corporate world, you're probably going to want to go with Excel. Excel has over 400 functions spread across 11 categories, while Numbers only has 242 functions in 10 categories. Not a huge deal unless you're in that corporate area. I've done a number of spreadsheets and I have always had the function I need, and it's very easy to implement. I'll show you that in a minute. If you do use spreadsheets, though, for personal or small to mid-sized businesses, strong graphics are important to you, Numbers will be your choice. Again, we'll look at the two toolbars. Above is the Microsoft Excel toolbar. Down below are the Apple Numbers toolbar. You can see the simplicity that's here. And very much like Pages, you've got about the same tools that do the same functions. You can share, you can export, you can do whatever. Again, for my old eyes, I prefer the Apple Numbers toolbar. And again, when you want to create a new spreadsheet, you're allowed to choose from a very large number of templates. Personal finance, education, business. I think I've got 6 sheets up here of templates. I didn't download them all. So, and of course, they all scroll to the right so you can get more templates. So if you want to do a calendar or a personal balance sheet or business report, fear not, the template is here. And of course, Apple has always, since day one, had very strong graphics capability. If you look at the spreadsheet on the left, you'll see a budget. As you enter the numbers, the chart changes and you've got the legend for the chart. I don't know who Sally is, but she's got a really extensive wedding plan. But if you'll look at it, she's got photographs. She's got all of her tables there. She's got her graph. Again, fairly sophisticated, and numbers pulls it off quite easily. And just to give you an example, the lower left part of the screen, I'm showing a 3D chart in Microsoft Excel, and then the same 3D chart in Apple Numbers. If you're doing a corporate report or a business report and you want something to stand out with graphics, Apple is the way to go. The internet will also tell you that Apple Numbers can't do multiple sheets. That may have been so back in the day when I was thinner and had dark hair, but today, of course, we can do more than one sheet. So don't be put off by some of the things that you may see on the internet. Now, for example, in our computer club in Arizona, we keep track of all the presentations we've had. So when my program manager sends me the spreadsheet, sheet 1 might say 2020, and then sheet 2 will be 2021, sheet 3 will be 2023. So we keep track of everything that way. Looking at the tools, they are similar. If you click on the paintbrush, you see some different tools here, but if I've clicked on table, I can select different headings, how many rows I want, how many columns, title, table outline. If I click on cell, I can actually go in and format each cell or a selection of cells to be bold, italic, font size, justification, however I want it to go. Very clean, very simple. If I go to format, and again, to a single cell or multiple selected cells, I can select number, currency, date and time, just whatever I want. Just exactly as you would do on Excel. Off to the right, I've clicked on scientific. I'm not a rocket scientist or a brain surgeon. I don't deal a lot with scientific, but you can do that if you need to. And if you look down below, you can even go into fractions, which I have never done and probably never will. So there's, again, tremendous power here. Again, we look at export. We can go to export and we can go to PDF, Excel, comma separated values, text separated values, whatever we want to do. The bottom right corner of the numbers spreadsheet is another tool. You'll see it here, the little keyboard in cell. That's where we can insert current date, current time. We can put in a new formula, stock quote, whatever it is we want to do. That's the only tool at the bottom of the spreadsheet, and it's down in the lower right-hand corner. I was talking earlier about the ease of entering formulas. If this were an Excel spreadsheet and we wanted to do this calculation, we would have to use the equal sign, and then we would have to put column B, row 6, minus column C, row 6. In numbers, you actually get to see what that is. You can say it's budget medical minus actual medical, and you'll come up with your solution. So the formulas are much easier to enter. You don't have to click on the formula to see what's going on. I think that's, for those of us who don't work in the corporate world and use Excel extensively, I think this is pretty slick. Again, you can share a file with anybody. You can export a file, or you can share it with anybody through messaging or mail or however. A couple of examples of spreadsheets. On the left, you'll see a balance sheet. Any of us who've ever owned a business are pretty familiar with that. And that is a template that you can upload and just plug in your numbers. On the right is a remodel project budget. And again, you can see they might have drawings, their table with their information, various charts at the bottom. So again, a lot of power. Probably more than a lot of us need today, but kind of fun to play with. Not as much fun as AirTags, but it's fun. Okay, so as you can see, there's plenty of power also in numbers. And again, if you have questions, use chat. We'll now take a very quick look at Keynote. I'm not going to show you much on this, but as I mentioned, this presentation was created on an Apple iPad using Keynote. And again, when you want to create a new presentation, you are presented with a multitude of templates that you can choose from. I have not shown them all here. I'm just trying to give you an idea of what you can do. Now, so I've selected a rather generic template for my presentation. And as you can see, the menu bar looks very similar to Pages and Numbers, and maybe you can't see it, but it's right here. At this time, Apple's Keynote goes to what they call a dark background. Trust me, when you're working on your iPad or your Mac, that toolbar is much, much easier to see. But I did want to show you where it was because I know it doesn't show up well on the presentation. Pages, Numbers, and Keynote are all available for free on the iPhone, the iPad, and MacBook. So, and they can all export to Word, Excel, or PowerPoint. When I sent this presentation to Judy, I did it with PowerPoint because I didn't think she had Pages. So just keep the power available, or be aware of the power that's there where you can use it. All right, that concludes my introduction to Pages, Numbers, and Keynotes. I thank you very much for having me. It's been fully my pleasure. And I want you to know, when you look at that picture of me in the top left, that's, I'm going to say iced tea in the glass, and we'll leave it at that. John, all done.
Well, for me, that's my first sharing of information about those, and I'm going some pretty good programs, interesting things. I pass over to Judy. There's a few questions that have come through.
I have a question. I created my first document in Pages on Saturday. I wanted to print it using Pages. It was supposed to be an 8.5 by 11 document, as usual. Pages offered printing on about 15 different sizes of medium, but not 8.5 by 11. It offered something like index card 8.5 by 11. What happened?
I have no
It's
idea.
just plain old ordinary 8.5 by 11 letter size, click, boom, zoom.
I have no idea what happened. I've never ever seen that in all my years of using Pages. I don't know if they were using an iPhone, if they were using an iPad or whatever, but I truly have never seen that.
Brookie,
If that person will send me an email or send Judy an email and she can get it to me, I'll certainly get an answer for you.
okay, Brookie says no to her. Craig,
What?
do you use Pages? Don't yell at me.
I don't use Pages a lot. Our presentation was produced entirely on Keynote. And so
I will get that to you,
that printing issue, I have no idea.
Jerry will find out for Tom. Okay, another question.
Well,
On
you're
my
really
Mac,
going to make me put, you're really going to make me put iced tea in my glass now, aren't you? So I can pay attention.
yeah, on my MacBook Pro, how do I save a Pages document I created And
When-
is it saved in Pages or wherever I select?
Okay, as you type a document, when you're all through, you just close that screen and it will automatically be saved to Pages. If you want it saved to Word or a PDF document, you'll have to go to the export toolbar that I showed you and just select export. And that will allow you to save it to whatever format you want and wherever you want on your PC.
And I have been chatting with I'll call her a friend, and she's thinking about going back to a Mac.
Good choice.
So this was just all timely for her. So
Well,
anyway, I don't
To
have.
be honest, Judy, before you go on, I'm hearing that from a lot of people. They were so tired of all the constant updates with Windows 10 that they are going back to Macs, even though
Oh.
Windows 11 is out now.
Right, but you have to have the money to pay for it.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do.
I have no other questions. Over to you, John, to open it up for open mic.
Okay, chat box is closed
Closed.
now. And what we do, as we always do, we'll allow the ability for you to turn on your mic, but with the huge number of screens that we have, we use the reactions button with the raising of your digital hand, and that puts you at the top of our list. And so we can find you right away to be able to ask a question and share information with us. So let me make one little click here. And there we have two people that have done that. So Bill James, over to you.
I have questions for Craig.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Oh.
sorry about that. And two comments. I only got two comments for everybody, and they both said they were able to easily change the batteries in their tiles. And that one of the comments was he even got notified when you should change it. For a non-iOS user, web-based cloud account only, is it possible to register and track AirTags from the Icloud website?
Deborah researched this, and that's why I raised my hand, is to make sure that that question got answered, since it was sent to me directly. Deborah has researched that while we were on the phone here, and she said it doesn't look like it's possible at this time. That you have to have an iPhone, an iPad, or a Mac desktop or laptop in order to do that. And you can't just register directly from the Icloud website.
Thank you. And Bill's going to ask his question, and I'm not going to.
Oh, my question's for Craig, and thank you, Craig, for the great presentation. My question is regarding the AirTag. Is there a way to defeat an unknown AirTag? Say, for instance, if you're discovered that you're being tracked by one, is there a way to defeat that? Or
Deborah, you're the
Well,
AirTag guru.
if you find it, I would reset it and make it yours.
oh, I'll say, but the
If you want another way to secure it is get a sledgehammer.
I like
But
Deborah's.
Well,
the
yes, it's advantageous in that.
but the app won't show where the unknown AirTag actually is located, will it?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think you'll just say it's near you.
Yeah, it's near you. So, yeah, I'll probably do some more research on it. I haven't played with it for a while.
Yeah. I was, and I was going to just make this note. I'm probably one of these people that I found that I have 4 towels that I've never used, and also a Samsung tag that were probably given to me for Christmas, and I just laid them aside. I just dug them out.
And they're right next to your Raspberry Pi, right?
Yes. But anyway, but I have been following you all on my tablet, and learned a lot of things. I didn't know anything about Pages, never tried using it, but I will now try to pursue that. I have Office 365, which I have installed on all my Apple devices. So that's been my way of, utilizing or sharing documents between different devices. But I'm going to try Pages. Looks like it's a lot of fun to use. But
I've
thank you
played
so
with
much.
Pages a lot, and yes, it is easy to use. You can do some really simple documents or even complicated ones. There's some sophistication that I think Word has over Pages, but Pages also has many advantages over that. So it really depends on what you're doing.
Yeah, I'll give it a try.
Yeah.
I have it on my iPad, so I'll give it a try, and I have it on my Mac Mini if I ever get the gumption to fire it up sometime. All right, thank you so much.
Over to Thomas.
Hi. When I had trouble printing to an 8.5 by 11 using Pages, I had started with a blank document, and I created the thing on a MacBook Pro 15-inch running Mac OS 10.14.6. So all the other offered sizes were reasonable. I mean, it'd be what I expect. But for that one, for 8.5 by 11, it just offered index card 8.5 by 11.
Thomas, is it okay if I give Jerry your email address and he will take a look at the problem and see if he can figure it out for you?
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I just, one other little thing? On the same document, on the bottom of the document in the footer, I like to have on the left end, I like to put in the word file, colon, and then insert file name. That worked nicely on Pages, except the right end of the file name was truncated. Apparently wouldn't allow it to extend into the center third of the footer. I don't know if that's, if I just need to experiment with a different template, or if I can change that, or if I'm just must use short file name.
Yeah, I'd have to look into that as well.
Okay, thank
But
you.
I will, and I'll get back to you.
Thanks.
Carol, your turn.
Yes. Which Apple keyboard product most nearly corresponds to the keyboard on a computer for ease of typing? On the iPad, I currently use a stylus, which is slow going.
I assume you mean a Windows keyboard versus a Apple keyboard?
No, I'm thinking of a Apple keyboard.
Versus the generic one you get on a iPad, for instance.
Yeah, I mean, it's really easy for me to type on the Windows computer, but on the iPad, I just have the one that's integrated into the tablet.
Well, one thing you can do when you're using an iPad, and it depends which I just dropped a bunch of stuff on the floor. Oh, well. They have these, where am I? Yeah. They have these devices that are a cover and a keyboard, and there's specific ones for specific models of iPads, for instance. This one is for the newest iPad Air, and you magnetically put the iPad up here, and then you have that's kind of hard to see. You have a nice,
Hold it still.
yes, sir.
Yeah, it's not in focus.
I see that.
Blur the background.
But this keyboard is for a couple of specific ones, and it just, mounts on here with magnets, and there's some little pins here that will power the keyboard from your iPad.
I'm
Ah.
showing it.
Huh?
I've got mine
Yes.
up.
And hers is just like mine.
Okay, and that's pretty easy to type with then.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And it has the same layout as your standard Apple keyboards do.
Okay, thank you.
Serves as a cover.
And
Okay,
depending on the or what model of iPad you have, you'll have to make sure you buy the correct, keyboard to go with it.
okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Steve,
How do you back up your entire iPhone onto a flash drive? I bought a 512 stick, but it'll only let me do photos and stuff. I want to back up the whole phone onto a stick. And it's pointless trying to put it into iCloud because iCloud only gives you 5 gigs. So you obviously can't put 64 gig onto a 5 gig iCloud.
Well, you could if you were willing to pay for extra space.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean,
And if
why
you're
would I
not
want to
willing,
do that when I get a stick and put it on? So
if you have a Mac, you can back it up onto your Mac. I don't know whether that's possible on Windows or not, since I don't have a Windows computer.
no,
But
but if you've got a flash drive and you put that into the iPhone, you should be able to back up the entire iPhone onto that flash drive, shouldn't you?
well, you'd have to have a special connector because it's Lightning on the bottom of the phone.
Yeah, exactly. That's
You'd
what
have
I've
to have
got.
a Lightning to USB. Yeah,
With that and that as well. That's a
Yeah.
C. Yeah. Oh yeah.
I don't know. I've never tried
Well,
that.
I ran the program that came with this thing, but it only backs up photos. It won't back up the entire operating system and all the files and everything else on it.
So Deborah's got something there.
does anybody have an answer for Steve?
So she has the same device you have, Lightning on one end.
And
Looks
yeah, it's
like it,
called
yeah.
iClips. It's
Right.
got USB and Lightning, and it may not be big enough. This is 64 gig.
Yeah.
And because I have a MacBook Pro, I have to use an adapter, but it will go into the bottom of the phone or the iPad.
Yeah, mine does that too, but what I need to know is how do you get everything that's on your phone onto that stick?
Yeah, it has a program built in. I don't think it backs up everything. I do believe, I was researching this a bit. I think if you're running Windows and you download iTunes or something, you can do an iTunes backup on your Windows machine, just hooking the device to it. I mean, I do a backup to my little Mac Air, which is I'm running right now. And I just hook the device directly to it. And I go to the iTunes thing and I recognize it and it'll do a backup.
Have you
Steve, I
restored
think
it
one
to
of the
make sure it
things-
works?
Steve, one of the things, it depends on what the stick that Deborah held up. I don't know what brand it is, but it's available from a number of companies. And what you're trying to do would really depend on the software that company supplies with their stick.
Exactly.
I would agree. And the one you have apparently only likes photos.
Right. So we hope
Well-
that you didn't spend too much money for it and when you have to go out and buy another one now.
It's supposed to be an Apple certified and all this stuff. So
Right. But I
Mhm.
think the key is the software for what you're backing up, because we have a lot of programs that are software backup that is just backing up data. And then you have to have, the software that'll back up image. And it's my understanding that Apple likes you to go through iTunes to back it up.
Right.
yeah.
I don't believe that Apple has approved anything to reach outside of the iOS or iPadOS sandboxes for the application, including the limited file system access that they brought into later iOS versions. Much like I think Deborah said, for the iOS devices in my family that have primary Windows machines. It's iTunes on Windows with Wi-Fi enabled backup setup. So when they walk in the house and rejoin the local network, their machines are discovered and the backups happen dynamically without interaction, as long as the power criteria and system detection stuff. So whenever they're in the house, they just generally back up automatically to the iTunes application on Windows. And then if you like, you can stick your flash drive, mount your flash drive in your Windows machine and write the iTunes backups to that, or primary storage, whatever.
Thank you. David,
Hi, I'm afraid I have a couple questions. One relating to my iPad. I've got a lot of apps on it, several pages worth, and I'd like to know how I can just do a quick search to find an app. On my phone, I know I can scroll left and I get a page with a search on the very top, and I can search for an app that way, but I'm not able to do that on the iPad. Or is there a trick to this?
Brookie has an answer.
Yes, I mean, you can do it the same way on an iPhone and an iPad. And basically what you're doing in your iPad is when you're on the home screen, if you'll place your finger about midway and just drag down, you can actually type in the app that you're looking for and it will search. But then another cool thing is that if you go to your home page and you scroll to the very last home screen and go one more scroll, you'll actually see your app library, and it will show you first as in different folders, but then if you tap at the top, it will alphabetically list them.
Oh, thank you. Another question, does Pages have autocorrect? I depend on autocorrect a lot. I'm a terrible typist. And so having an autocorrect feature is important to me. And I also use it for long names of things to create acronyms for them that I can just type a couple of key strokes and I have the entire text shown. So is that available?
You'll have both of those capabilities with Pages.
Okay. That was first built into the Word that was on the oldest Macs that I learned on, and I really enjoyed having that feature. And I was surprised when Word went over to Microsoft. The other is in Numbers, is it possible to save a page as a PDF file off of the spreadsheet?
I can't remember. I think you can. I believe you can.
Do I just do that as a print as PDF or as a save as PDF?
Well, let me take a quick look.
Okay.
I think you can export directly to a PDF because I've done that with Keynote. So I'm pretty sure you can do that with Pages or Numbers.
Yeah, I would expect it with Keynote or with Pages. I just wasn't sure about Numbers. The other, the thing, I use iTunes to back up my phone a lot, but I don't know that it backs up everything. It backs up my music and it backs up my photos, but I'm not sure that it backs up my text messages or the photos that are in my text messages. I've had to use a separate memory stick to get the photos off my text messages from time to time. And I'm not sure whether any of the other settings that are built into the phone in terms of network access and all the other settings are also saved in that backup into iTunes. Does anybody know whether, because I recently bought a new phone and in the store, they did the swap for me. They mirrored my old phone into the cloud and then they brought it all back down to the new phone. But I don't think I can do that at home.
A couple prerequisites, and they're on the Apple support site. You need to have password protected backup enabled. Otherwise, you won't get things like the health data and some of the communications Additionally, it's a full device backup, and with iTunes, it's only full device restores. So you go back to that point in time. It's not a selective incremental thing.
Okay. I appreciate that. So when I do a backup intentionally in iTunes, it backups the whole device, but only at that point can I restore. If I buy anything new, it's not going to be back in that backup. I won't have lost it. It just won't be in the backup.
Now, keep in mind when the Apple does a backup off your iPad or iPhone, when you plug it in to charge it overnight, you can't set it to automatically do a backup, full backup. So if you buy something new, that gets backed up.
Oh,
Jerry, did you find out about the PDF?
Yes, it didn't look like it.
Thank you.
You could go to, let me get it.
I'm guessing I could print to a PDF though, depending on on the printer selection.
Yes.
Thomas apparently has a answer. That was physical hand raised.
You can export a numbers file to PDF, Excel, CSV, TSV, or numbers template.
Oh,
There you go. Over to Gerald. Unmute yourself, please. Unmute. Thank you.
Okay, you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, great. What wonderful presentations today. I've really enjoyed it. I'd like to reinforce what Jerry said about Pages. I use Pages a lot. I use Word as well, but I find Pages so much more easier to use. It's much cleaner. I do a lot of creative things. I make fourfold cards and stuff, and I do creative things by sending emails to my great-grandchildren, by embedding audio and pictures, and they're learning how to read so I can follow along with some audio. You can actually, as Jerry knows, you can put your audio in and you can edit it directly in Pages, but you can't do it in Word. I haven't been able to find out how to do it in Word. You can embed a Word, an audio file in Word, but you can't record it directly, but you can in Pages, and it's a really neat thing to do. Of course, you can't print it, but you could, excuse me, you can email it, and my grandkids go nuts over these things.
Well, as I said, there's pros and cons to both Word and Pages, as there is Excel and numbers. So there are advantages to using Apple, no question about it.
Tom.
Clarifying question for Mr. Rogan on the native editing of Office file formats. Have a mixed use, obviously, primarily Windows House, but with iOS tablets and phones. A lot of the documents that we have in the house are sitting on the network here as Office files, and when a iOS device Pages, when that opens that file, does it edit it natively, or does it do an import into the Pages format, and then subsequently when they want to commit their changes back to the original source, do they have to export it, or does it edit it natively, or do I have to go through the import-export cycle?
When you open I'm going to say a Word document, when you open a Word document with Pages, it will open as a Pages document. You can open it and view it as Excel, but you can't edit it. You open it as a Pages document, you can edit it, and then you re-export it to Word.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, everybody, for the presentation.
Oh, by the way, Mr. Rogan passed away years ago. My name's Jerry.
Okay, Jerry.
Lloyd, you're on.
Okay, it's not a criticism, but you made a comment when you were comparing certain things between Excel and your equivalent in the Apple world. And I just wanted to go over one thing with you. Doing formulas is very easy, much easier than you described. And also you can name your cells very easily also. You click on the cell and there's just put the name in a certain slot up on the upper left corner. That's number one. So, you can have names. The reason why you might want names instead of cell numbers is because if you just moved your mouse over the total column that with all the formula in it, you would be able to read it in English rather than in, code like A10 or 510 or X10. But one of the beauties, and I don't know your product as well as you do, but one of the products how powerful the programming is that you don't have to type in A10 or G6. All you have to do is click the mouse. After you hit the equal in the place where you want the total, you can go and click the various cells. You just put a plus in between each one, and that's it. And you don't have to, you're doing it by click. So you're not taking your hand off the mouse, other than to hit the plus sign and then click the next cell. And then all you have to do is leave it, and then you've got the total. What was the other thing too? Oh, the other thing too is the power of going from you can use that system by clicking on cells in other spreadsheets that are open. And you can therefore make a total that comes from spreadsheet 1, spreadsheet 3, spreadsheet 4. And again, all you have to do is click it. Now, names are nice. If you want to name those cells, it's nice because then you can see it and it makes sense. So for example, if you had something like a price of an article, a price of a product, and you had a number of units. So if you said price times units, you got it.
Okay, good to know.
Donna.
Well, and thank you for the presentation. I'm a newbie to Apple. In fact, I'm getting my first Apple computer very soon. But I have an old iPad and I have a new iPad. On the old one, somehow the iTunes backup got encrypted. I have never put a password in. I can't get that. So on my new one, I've been afraid to back up to iTunes because if I backed up without knowing that encrypted password, how would I ever get it if I needed it? In other words, I don't know what that password was. Now, I've given the old iPad to my husband, so that's in his name. But I'm afraid with my name going in, iTunes is going to go to the encrypted one, and I don't know the password, so it's useless. Oh.
Who can answer Donna? Oh, smile from Bookie, but a shake of the head. Okay, over to you, Osterberg. You got it. Ostertag, sorry.
Okay, what you need to do is you need to go back to your Apple ID and reconnect with that. So you can change your passwords and stuff using Apple ID. Apple does have, I was just looking for it here, has a very interesting okay, anyway, it's called it's about managing your Apple ID, and you can go into that and get to whatever you're trying to control. And if you've got a pencil, it's appleid.apple.com.
The iTunes backup password is separate from your Apple ID.
Yeah, I know, but this web page has all of that listed. It says one account for everything Apple. You just have to sign in with your Apple ID, and then you can go and find what you're trying to do as far as the other ones are concerned.
And may I ask him for you to repeat that website?
It's Apple ID, APPLEID .apple.com.
Thank you.
And you can reset your password, your Apple ID password, and your other passwords if you've got a master password on your computer that you can't remember. Good luck.
Yeah. Usually when we get a call and somebody says, I can't remember my password, can you come over and help? And we'll go over to their house. And we find that they've got about 4 spiral bound notebooks with various passwords through the years in there, and they try and search for it. Remember Password Manager is an excellent way to keep track of all that thing.
And there's one built into the Apple, the key ring.
Keychain.
Keychain, yes. But there's others out there too that are cross-platform, and they all work quite well.
They do. They do.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else, Tom Ostertag?
No, that's fine.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
John, you're on.
Now I'm unmuted. You can hear me. What prompted me to put my hand up was Stephen Parker's problem with the USB. I was going to just advocate paying $2.99 a month to have iCloud backup automatic is really worth it. And different from working with Microsoft, if you have a problem with your Apple device, you can call up Apple or start up a chat with them. And we have gone through, my wife and I have gone through several phones. And when we get a new phone, they can automatically just download the backup and convert you over. Trying to save the stuff on a USB flash drive or even in iTunes, I have found after a decade or more of being a Windows guy and a Linux guy and loving my iPhone, that it's just simply not worth not having the iCloud backup. But the iCloud backup, I am not sure, backs up your contacts. You may need a separate, probably free app to back up your contacts and export them to an Excel spreadsheet or something like that. I do that. And,
Actually, through settings, you can instruct the Apple to back up contacts.
But I'm advocating that if you have a problem, do not hesitate to get in touch with Apple. I have reset my phone, working with them over the phone from home. And so you really want to do that. Now,
Agreed.
Jerry, you mentioned about Pages having mail merge.
Yes.
It does not have mail merge on the version on the iPhone. I just looked, okay? And that's something that was like, whoa, I have mail merge? Because I use Pages all the time. Sometimes I want to copy something from the news app, and some of the news doesn't let you copy. There's a trick, which if some people got nothing else out of this, a triple finger, triple tap of selected stuff in the news app will bring up a little icon bar that has copied your selection. Triple finger, triple tap. Who would ever know that? Somehow I found it. And then I can paste it into Pages. If I try to paste it most other places, the formatting is all messed up. But Pages lets me enter it and adjust things and clear out any of the garbage. And so I can select stuff from Safari or from a news article and paste it into Pages. And that's the reason why I use Pages on my iPhone.
Triple finger, triple tap. It kind of makes you wonder how many other secret things Apple's got in their system that we don't know about.
Oh, it's not just Apple. I mean, some people like having a clean desktop. Well, if you have a clean desktop in Windows, how do you know what things do? Most of the features of most programs are unknown to 6/9 of the people. So we come on here. So if somebody tries that triple, you also can amplify, you can magnify stuff on your screen by turning that on. And that's also a triple tap.
Correct. That brings up the magnifier.
Yeah.
Correct.
I just found something related to this on Apple Insider, and it says here that you have to have version 12.1 of Pages, and then you'll get Mail Merge, and that works on the Mac, iPhone, and iPad. Your Mac has to have Mac OS Big Sur or later, and you have to have iOS 14 or iPad OS 14 or later for it to work on the iPhone. So you got to have all of those things, and you'll have Mail Merge according to this article.
Well, I have the latest version of iOS on an iPhone XR, and I update all of my apps every morning. So I have the latest of everything. And I just checked during this conference, during this workshop, and I couldn't find Mail Merge. So I'd like you to show me where Mail Merge is in Pages on an iPhone.
I am going to post the link to that article in chat.
Chat's turned off.
Oh, yeah.
He's a co-host. He can still use it. Send it to
But I can't get to it.
Send it to me, and I'll include it in the follow-up email.
Okay.
I found a video that says you can do it too, dance tutorials. And I'll include that.
Again, and sometimes we forget when we do these presentations that maybe some people don't have the latest operating system or the latest upgrade.
Oh, absolutely.
And when we do the presentations, we try and do it with the latest and greatest, if you will.
And if you're listening to a Word presentation and you're using Word 2010, everything's going right over your head that we're talking about.
Oh, yeah. Everything looks so different.
So we never know what the audience is using.
So I've sent you that link, Judy.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm reading the article. Thank you. That was worth checking, because Word doesn't have Mail Merge. Oh, somebody said they couldn't dictate in Mail Merge in Word. If you use the free online version of Merge of Word, which you get to by going to office.com, it has dictation and transcription.
Mm-hmm. You
Free,
can get that in Word.
Free in Word.
Yeah, it automatically is in Word. Demoed it for my computer club a few times.
Yeah, but it's not available in the installed version of Word. Only the free online version.
Mm.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, one other thing I wanted to say. This is an Apple group, the Brookdale Computer User Group. BCUG.com has an Apple workshop called Mac Waves. You can go to our website, bcug.com, and look at our schedule. This is free and open to the public. It has been on Zoom since the pandemic, and it's called Mac Waves.
Mm-hmm. And the Columbus Computer Society has an Apple SIG.
Which is tonight.
And that's where I found the presentation. How clever of me. So,
And of course, I agreed, Deborah and I agreed to let you exploit our knowledge.
as well you should, and all I can do is be told no, which happens a lot, but thank you so much for saying yes. David, you're on.
Need to unmute David.
Someone mentioned that in settings, I can change the backup things, but I'm looking in settings on my iPhone and I don't see where the path to get to that particular function. Can you tell me what it is?
You have to, when you go to settings, you want to go to the very top of the list where they have your picture and your information and click on that. And then, then you can go down and get it set. Or you should be able to.
Yeah, that picture is labeled with, it says Apple ID, iCloud, media, and purchases.
Right.
If you're running the latest version of iOS, that is.
Right. Well, once I get to that page, I see my name and name, phone number, email, password, security, payment, shipping, subscriptions. I don't see anything that says backup.
Are you sure you don't want backup location in iTunes, which would be, you would adjust that on the machine that has the iTunes installation, Windows or Mac?
So I do it in the iTunes settings then?
Are you backing up to iCloud? Is that what you're planning to do?
Well, generally when I do my phone, I back up to my desktop, which is a Windows machine, but it's in iTunes. And but I wanted to see if I could back up my contacts to that, as well as the phone, the photos and the music. But
so you're not backing up to iCloud?
Well, I occasionally do, yeah, but most often I back up just to the machine.
Then you would have to go to iTunes or whatever on your Windows computer.
Okay. Change
your settings there. The one on the phone is just, if you click on iCloud, then you can go in and specify how you want to back it up, but that's going to iCloud only.
All right. Well, then
and I think you have to scroll all the way to the bottom of that list to find iCloud backup.
Well, on the phone, that profile page showing iCloud, it does open up then a list of all the things that I could back up to iCloud.
Right.
Including contacts.
Correct.
And potentially Wallet and Siri and a bunch of other things. So it looks like I've already got that selected, so I'm happy that way. And I guess I'm looking at my memory store. I've got to get a bunch of photos off my phone. But the other comment I had was someone had mentioned that a problem of getting the file path shown in the heading section of a document or the footer section of a document, because it's split into 3 portions. You may have to actually type it and put a hard return in somewhere along the line to get the whole thing to go into that space. It doesn't sound like it wraps the text. Or maybe it will wrap the text, and when it prints, it might show it showing up in that section that's overlapping. But if it doesn't show on screen, you don't know for sure if it will or not. But whoever's trying to have that, give that a try anyway.
Over to Steve.
The flash drive that I got does back up contacts as well as photos and music.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
What I was wanting to ask is if the MacBook Pro plays the Flyover the same as your phone does.
It looked a little different. It did do the Flyover, but it didn't have as many things bookmarked, or not bookmarked, but named. And I could rotate it a little. I don't use a mouse. I just use the trackpad on my Mac Pro. just a preference. So I mean, have not as much functionality, but it looked like she did hers on the iPad. Was that correct?
On the iPhone.
On the iPhone? Okay.
Yeah, well, the advantage of the iPhone is that when you move it around, it moves the view around, which is incredible.
Yeah, you can do that, but it looked more functional on the phone to me.
Brookie?
Actually, when I did not demonstrate it on the iPad because my iPad, it's not as strong. And so, you know, there's a lot of, it still loads. So yeah, it's a little bit different. I do think the iPhone does a better presentation, but you still can see the flyovers on the iPad.
And yeah, I saw the flyover on my iMac, but I'm not going to pick that up and start moving it around. It's got a 27-inch screen on it. But, and like Deborah said, it doesn't seem quite as functional, but it does work.
The iPad is similar. The iPad looks a lot like what she did on the phone. The Mac, no.
Yeah.
More things marked, more functionality. It's probably due to the portability of the devices.
Yeah, I use my iPad and it worked perfectly.
Can you get a 3D mouse for the Mac?
Yeah. Give me a minute.
Yes, you can get 3D maps on the Mac.
Yeah.
I just did it a few minutes ago.
Okay.
And of course, that's at least I'm running Monterey, the current release. If you're running an older release of Mac OS, your experiences may be different.
Craig, if they would like to attend your SIG tonight, where can they get the link?
If I get their email address, I'll send them the link.
Okay, so what is your email address?
woodturnerdude@gmail.com. WOODTURNERDUDE@gmail.com. So they can send me that and I'll send them the link.
Can you put that in the chat?
It's a pretty, huh?
Could you put your email in the chat?
I could do that.
That'd be great. Thanks.
I can do that. So I know what
That's even better. So I don't have to use my old fingers.
Oh, stop. woodturnerdude@gmail.com coming at you.
That looks very familiar.
I knew that.
And you and I have emailed a few times, so.
That is true. And we're both old dudes on top of everything else. Thomas, you're on.
I wanted to ask, can you please repeat the name of the users group that does the Apple thing?
For which? For my group?
No, John's group, BCUG.
Oh, BCUG.
BCUG. Yeah, I didn't find that.
I believe it's bcug.com.
Yeah, I found something about
go to their calendar.
Yeah, bcug.com.
And go to their calendar. You'll find all their meetings listed.
Okay, and that would be the info that we would get if we would send request to woodturnerdude.
Wood Turner Dude is the Columbus Computer Society in Ohio.
Okay.
Brookdale's on the East Coast.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Welcome. Donna.
Yes, a question. You were showing keyboards. I want to know if the keyboard has raised letters so you can get your fingers centered, or are they all flat? Like the one
on the Apple keyboard, there is a little nib at the bottom edge of the key for the F and J key. but that's it. The rest are just flat.
Yeah, it's so easy. If you're just typing away, if you used to be a typist, your fingers slip and then all of a sudden there's a garbage because you didn't look.
Been there, done that.
Okay, and then I think I had one more. Oh, very simple. In Pages, if you write a document, and I'm assuming you save as and change and make a title, and then do you have it go into a Pages file like it does in Office or Linux? I've not used it, so I don't understand how I'm going to retrieve that document. Just open Pages and somewhere it'll give me what I already have there.
Well, you've got your files folder on your desktop or somewhere. You're looking at files folder, there will be a Pages folder. And if you look in there, you'll see the document that you just created.
Okay. And then when you're in Pages typing, how do you save it? You just quote, how do you save it?
Well, you can go up and say save as and give it a different name, or you can simply get out of Pages and it will automatically be saved.
And there you can, on a Mac at least, you can use Command S to force a save whenever you want to.
Right.
Okay. And all right, save as and get the title in. Thank you.
The Brookdale Mac Waves is not meeting again until next month. But the link to their calendar page is in the chat box. And over to Lori.
I don't know if you just answered my question is BCUG Brookdale?
Yeah.
I went on the website and I couldn't figure out how to attend their meeting tomorrow. How does one do that?
Brookdale's meeting is not tomorrow. They don't meet again until September.
Oh, it says there's a meeting tomorrow about a Microsoft product. I forget what it was.
Yeah, no, they're having a general meeting tomorrow. Lori, I'll go back to the website and look for it. David from Leisure World, you're on.
Just what? I just confused myself. Could I suggest that in a future meeting that you talk about the new passkey that Apple's come out with? I'd like to know more about it.
What is that again?
The passkey.
Thank you. Don't everybody who talks Apple raise their hand at one time to give that presentation. There are no laughs for that.
Sorry.
So you get to do that, Deborah.
Nope. 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 Nope.
I could maybe do it.
Who said that?
Jerry.
Oh, good.
The former Mr. Rogan that passed away.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
there you go.
We'll be back in Arizona sometime. Hey, our good friend Richard from Melbourne, Australia.
Today.
Oh, John.
Yes. Does Pages allow for foreign language input, i.e. Chinese characters?
I thought you meant Australian English. No.
No, my partner is Chinese and writes articles in Chinese on her desktop in Word. So, and she has got an iPad. So it'd be interesting to know if that's an option.
To do it in a foreign language?
Well, like he said,
specifically Chinese characters.
Different character set.
Yes.
I've never tried that. I don't know.
And by the way, for Brooke, I'm impressed that Melbourne was included in the maps.
Oh, I always
Pages does support the input languages that are configured for via the keyboard settings. So if the operating system has multiple language support enabled, then Pages will support writing in that through the standard language change mechanisms on the keyboard.
Good, thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Thomas.
Does anyone else have trouble with the huge trackpads that Apple is building into the new machines? even just in my mid 2015 MacBook Pro, I accidentally touched the thing, and all of a sudden my cursor is where I didn't want it, and I'm typing where I didn't want to type.
That's why I attach an external modem or mouse myself to get around that.
I always look for touchpads that have the ability to turn off keyboard shortcuts.
Yeah, I don't know if you can turn off the touchpad in your MacBook Pro.
No, but you can lay a piece of cardboard over it and that'll stop you from touching it.
I wish Apple would come up with some configuration setting where it could disable 80% of the huge keypad, the trackpad, so just the center would be usable, so that, you know, minimize the chance of touching it.
Isn't there a sensitivity or setting or something to control palm rejection or the inadvertent bounces?
I haven't found that. What they really need is something to minimize the area that's sensitive when somebody's just typing and they're not trying to use this thing.
Okay, I do not see a sensitivity adjustment on the trackpad or a way to shut it off. But I know at times when I'm typing, sometimes my thumb will touch down and move the cursor, and so to compensate for that, I just put a thin piece of cardboard over it, no problem.
Thank you.
Back in the day when it was a smaller touchpad, you could put a credit card on it, but you can't do that anymore.
And Lori.
The link that you sent for the BCUG, the very first line says there's a meeting tomorrow. It will meet via Zoom. I don't see anything that says it's canceled.
No.
We didn't send a link for BCG.
BCUG.
I just sent an email.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just sent it. Their general meeting is Thursday night on Microsoft Office 365 Cloud Beginner Tutorial.
That's what I'd like. Right. So my question was,
and I just sent an email to their president and said, people are wanting to know how to attend your meeting. He just left us.
Got it.
So I'll let you know when I find out.
All right. And that's on the East Coast, correct? That's New Jersey?
Yes.
Yeah.
Terrific. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And they also have a good Linux group too.
Yes. So they've been.
Well, that's important.
Yes, it is.
Oh, stop. Donna, it's your turn.
All right, of all of the presenters, I want to know, do you video any of your presentations, and is there a place on Facebook to go see them? For instance, it was mentioned that Brookie does iPad on Facebook, or is that available to go see? Maybe this could be included in the notes that come out later, Judy, but it would be nice for those of us who are learning to be able to go back and review or see live videos.
Yeah, Brookie, your classes aren't recorded. She teaches classes.
She's with the Central Kentucky Computer Society. But of all of you people who are the knowledgeable Apple, what YouTube guru about apples do you recommend for people who are just learning? I found something called Dan's Tutorials on how to back up everything but the kitchen sink, including your tutorials, but I have no clue who Dan is, and I'm a Windows person. So just put it in the chat box.
Our Windows SIG at the Columbus Computer, or not Windows SIG, the Mac Apple SIG, we don't tend to record those unless we have some major presentation, which we haven't done for a long time. And we only, maybe a third to half of the time, record our general meetings, which is they're on the third Wednesday of each month, so that would have been last week.
Okay, I have one entry in the video learning Apple stuff that you trust is straight scoop. Tom Sweet is typing as we speak after he looks it up to copy and paste. I got it. Now I have two. Let's see if you Apple people are more responsive than the Windows and Linux people, okay? Because when I ask them questions, they ignore me like your kids do. What can I tell you?
And Judy, you'll put this in the handout that comes.
Absolutely.
Because I can't get from the chat to whatever the sites
No,
are.
I know.
Twitter, so thank you.
Yep.
Judy,
Anybody else? I can't believe the rest of you guys learned this all by yourself.
Judy, I will send you a couple of links after we log off today.
Thank you.
That I found very good. When you're searching the internet for some of these sites, so be careful that they weren't written in 2018 or something, because some of the information will be very, very outdated, and a lot of it will be incorrect. So you want to check, when you look at these sites, you want to check the date and be certain that you've got a current tutorial.
Yep, that's
Like 2021 or 22.
That's why techboomers.com was put together, because Steve was trying to, help his mom with the computer, and he didn't have to do it physically, and he'd send her out to YouTube and find out that, it was ancient stuff. So I got another one. So I have three now. Going.
I've got one or two that are very good, and I'll send it to you.
Okay, then I will have 5, and I'll include them all in the follow-up email. If you guys, we have no more questions right now. So if you guys have any tips like a triple tap, things like this, send them to me. And let's see if you're more responsive than the Linux and the Windows people that you'd like to spread the gospel, so to speak. And I'll include that type of information in the follow-up email with the links to the PDF presentations and the video. Tom Sweet from North Texas.
Quick for Donna, a good keyboard cover for iPads that survived about 6 years in a student backpack, and there's pretty much no more hostile environment in the world. ZAGG, Z-A-G-G. I used their keyboard covers, and their warranty program and customer support were very good for a middle school student who school required iPads and a touch typist keyboard.
And you're going to put that in the chat box, aren't you?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. I knew that.
Also, if you're going to do a search on your stuff, just put the iOS version along with it, and that'll make things a little more recent. Plus, unfortunately, the search engine optimizing content farms out there, and no matter the search engine that you use, they're just dominating the results, and it's garbage. It's real hard to find decent stuff. There's a lot of the content farms just out there refarming old content, and they really do dominate the top page of results. It's very frustrating.
Cool. Charlie.
On the 3D maps. Now I haven't used it, just found out about it today, and I just have an iPhone and an iPad, but it sounded like people wanted to get a bigger image. And I was wondering, you can mirror your iPhone and your iPad to a smart TV, a big TV screen, and it mirrors exactly what's on your device. Would that work with the 3D maps we were talking about?
Yes, it works. Yes, that's the way we actually teach it at CKCS. We mirror it to our big screen TV.
Thank you.
Craig.
I just wanted to comment mostly to you, Judy, that I sent you during the meeting a PDF document of our presentation with the speaker notes added to it.
Thank you so much.
So you can share that with everybody.
You are too kind.
Well, you don't want me to break my own arm tapping myself on the back, so.
You didn't want me to send you another email. Too cool. I have not heard back from Mr. John from Brookdale, but if you are interested in finding, and they are not a group that let me know they share their meetings with other user group members, which would have made this also easy. If you're interested in their meetings, their Mac Waves or their general meeting, just put your email address in the chat box and send it to me. And when I hear from him today, I'll let you know. And John Kennedy, I think it is over. Oh, our next Apple meeting, so to speak, will be September 14th. Jerry Rogan will be talking about the iPhone health apps, and Bill James will be talking about the Samsung Android health apps. And
So
again, mark your calendars. That is September 14.
So it's a half and half.
Half and half.
Yeah, this ends July, another month gone by with some excellent workshops. Today was a great one for Apple. And as we do with all of our workshops, if there are some topics for Apple, please submit those to Judy, email her. And if you're somebody who's willing to help the beginners, I'm sure there's a lot of people that would like a workshop that like we've done with Linux, starting at the beginning, Apple or iPad, iPhone for beginners. How do I turn it on? What do I push first? So if we can get people who are willing to do that, we'd love to have a monthly, bi-monthly Apple workshop, Linux workshop, Windows workshops. So send those into us. Steve, one last comment real quick.
Yeah, if you back up your iPhone to the iCloud, can you then download that iCloud image or whatever it creates to your PC?
No.
I don't think so.
No.
There you go. There's two no's.
I back up to the iCloud on my iPad and my Mac all the time. So there's no way.
But there's no way to download it though.
No, you can't.
Yeah.
Ostertag, you're on.
I usually back up both to my computer and to the iCloud. The computer gets backed up by cable, to the computer gets backed up by cable, and to the iCloud gets backed up by Wi-Fi from my phone, from my iPad.
Dalton?
But this is going to a Mac, not to a Windows box.
Because you have to use iTunes. You have to use iTunes for the Windows machine.
Well, you do, but I don't. I just I use the Finder. Remember, a few OSs ago, Apple split iTunes into logical units so that it doesn't have to do everything under the sun. And now, if you want to back up your your other devices to your Mac, you just plug them in, and you'll see them in the Finder.
Yeah.
And then you can choose to back it up in the Finder or in the cloud. And if you're if you're really paranoid, you can do both, which is what I do.
Yeah. I just think it sounds like that Apple doesn't really want you to be able to download that image to something other than iTunes and the cloud. So I think
part of that is probably a security thing, but you can't use that to reinstall or restore individual pieces of software or whatever. It's there strictly to say restore the phone because you had to replace it or whatever because you were dumb and drove over your old phone with their pickup truck and driveway or something.
Yeah, you can use it for backing up or for restoration, and it works just fine if you do screw something up.
I never do that though.
No. But remember, pick all that stuff off the floor
Right.
that fell off. Hey, Richard, over to you. Last question, comment, whatever. Unmute. Thank-
Just the thought, would Haiku operating system be able to access Apple backups?
Anybody have an answer?
Can you say that again?
The Haiku operating system, would that be able to access Apple backups? Given that it was, I think it was almost cloned from Apple.
Have no idea.
I don't either.
Can you spell that for me, please?
Haiku.
Okay.
Just like the thing from English, it's another offspring of Linux and Apple.
Well, it was an offspring from BIOS, which was originally an Apple clone.
Sorry, no one has an answer.
I think Apple wants to be pure Apple.
All righty, Mr.
All right.
Kennedy, take us away.
All right. Thanks a lot for attending. This has been a great workshop. We'll be back again next month with 2 workshops and a Saturday to Safari. So watch for that. There will not be a Linux workshop because of that. And the Linux team is reworking things for the fall. So thanks so much, and share this information that we do Apple, we do Linux, we do Windows, we do computer in general. Have a great end to your July, and wow, see you in August.